I had to take the, I don't know if I can find it. Yeah, here's one of them. The braiding off, because unfortunately it was just too big to fit in, but I don't think that's going to mind. It's still like cloth covered wire. All the wires are all set to go. Now I'm just going to put the top cover on and screw it in place. Cover's in place. Now it's a matter of mating that with the chassis. I'm going to leave the cover off because I'm going to have to check all the wires and make sure that nothing is broken off. I don't believe it has. The only one that concerns me is going to be, and if I can get my thing here, I'll have to look for it. One of these, it's right here. Yeah, right here next to my... And you can't hardly see the wire, but I've got to see. I'm hoping that's not a break, it's up here. Because if it is, that's going to screw me big time. I don't know if it is or not. It just could be excess wire. We'll find out one way or the other once we do the tests and make sure that everything goes to where it's supposed to. Well, one of the other things I'm doing is I've pulled out the guts to the debillier capacitor, and it's going to be stuffed. I can find it here. I just happen to have this. I used this old capacitor on a telephone, but I found out it didn't work at the time. But it's 2 microfarad. This is 2 microfarad. That's going to go in there. Now the other thing I've got to do though is when I first took this out of the case or the chassis, it was just flopping about in there, and that was a big problem. There's supposed to be 2 flanges, I guess you could call them, with hooks on each end, and then in turn it would hook onto the flanges. So I've got some sheet brass here. I'm gonna solder it up 2 pieces to stick out, and then I'll shape it accordingly, and then it'll be able to attach to the chassis. Okay, 2 flanges are now soldered into place. Now it's just a matter, and by the way, I cleaned this all up too, just a matter of soldering this onto that. Thinking about filling that up with something, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll try hot glue, I don't know. Wouldn't matter one way or the other. And then this will be ready. I was thinking about painting it, and the more I think about it, probably just leave it. It's original. So, and people are not going to see this up here. It's just as long as these are going to be strong enough to do whatever they need to do in terms of holding this onto the chassis. We're going to leave this original. But the insides, of course, are going to be a little more modern. Now, before I put the Catacomb back into the chassis, I had to make sure everything else was okay, and the 2 things I did notice was each one of these tuning capacitors had shorts between the plates, so I went ahead and bent those out to their proper positions. Check continuity. No continuity at all between each one of them, so we're good. Then the other thing I did was give it a light oiling. Got those ready. Next thing I need to do is to put this that terminal strip probably back on. That'll involve with the radio and the Catacomb, I should say. And then the fun part is with this schematic that I've got over here, I've got to get everything wired to each one of those little gadgets, each one of those pins, and then after that I'll be able to determine if everything is okay. Okay, we're back together again. Got all the tubes in. I don't have the cover for the Catacomb on yet because I want to make sure that all the connections are there first, then I'll put the can on. So I've just got it temporarily mounted to here. I've put new tabs on the capacitor and it's nice and tight. So this is all set to go. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do my tests, and we're going to see everything matches up with this. We're going to use this just like they would have in the 20s. I guess what I need to do is to put on a set of headphones, and lo and behold, if I am not mistaken, I got a set of headphones with this radio. Now, I'll be damned if I know what I did with them, but they are around here somewhere, so I'll grab them. If not, I've got a few up here somewhere I can use, and we'll check for some clicks and make sure all the continuity is where it should be with this. Before I started all the major readings of between the Catacomb and the chassis, I decided I was going to check all the inner connections on the Catacomb. And would you believe this? Even though I was concerned about a wire, which I can't find it now, I think it's right, yeah, it's right here. It's this little one right here. Find my finger, there it is. Find the finger, find the cheese. Despite seeing that, every one of those connections is fine, which really surprises me, considering it's been sealed in that rosin for close to 90 years. Didn't break a single wire. So, what I've got to do now is check all these connections against a sheet over there. Already I'm finding some problems, but the other thing that's aggravating about this, on the 24, and I think the Super 7, or whatever that thing's called, the big console superhet in the AR812, and the 26, the 26's lineup is backwards to the rest of them. I don't know why they do it that way, but here it is. To the best of my knowledge, I have this wired correctly, but I'm seeing some things that are not right, so I've got to do some more digging and make sure that my wiring is correct. It's a few days later. I've reassembled the radio, hooked up all the necessary wires to where they need to go. Still was having some continuity issues. I wasn't sure if they were because I didn't have the speaker hooked up or whatever. So I went ahead and dummied everything together. Hooked the speaker up, hooked the antenna up. I've got all that set. Got the antenna in place, and so what I've done, I've got, let's see if I can get some light here. I've got the A batteries assembled, and I've certainly got the C battery ready, as you can see in here. But for the B battery, which is going to use my engine that I got from Tony Marr, I haven't fully assembled that yet. So I've dummied together a bunch of 9 volts, split at 45 volts. I'm going to give this thing a whirl. Okay, everything's ready to go. Make sure that we have, well, we don't have full movement because I've still got stuff in the way. Once again, everything's become cluttered. Things in the way, things in the way, things in the way. Okay. It fully swings now. So, what I'm going to do, take a look in here. Check my tubes, make sure everything is fully functional. Here, let me turn that light off. There we go. Should be able to see everything now. And this makes the whole process go, the battery switch. Both are set to 100, which means the capacitors are fully closed. Volume is set below here. So, this is it. We're going to see if this thing actually plays, if all that work was worth it, and if all these tubes are functioning. So without further ado, here we go. We have tube glow, and if you can hear, we got pong pong. So you know what that means? We got high voltage. This thing is conducting. So let me bring it up. My batteries are kind of old, so I'll put them up to about 5. And I figured out why one of these tubes wasn't glowing the first time around. It's because it's controlled, that one particular tube port is controlled by the volume control. As I bring it up, it gets brighter. I hear audio. I also have feedback, so I've got some things I got to work on. Whoa, there's the offender right there. That one's got a little more feedback. Now see, I'm going to still make some shock absorbers and out of sponge rubber. Go. Sorry, my daughter's trying to get in here, and well, right now she can't be an audience. Not for this. So we have audio. Like I say, sponge rubber still needs to go in here, and I've got one in the back, which I've got this ready. The problem is it doesn't stick. Why? It's silicone. I went to glue this in place and thought, okay, let me see if it's stuck on there. Fell right off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of cloth from a t-shirt or something like that, wrap it around this tight, and then glue the t-shirt material on there, and that should take care of it. And I still got 2 side shock absorbers to take care of, and that'll reduce the microphonics. So enough of me talking. Let's see if this damn thing really works. This is for the antenna. This sets the station. I think we're going to get signals. Let's move it to 90. Do you hear that? That's radio, folks. This radio plays. Let's get a station. Going to 80. Yeah, there's stations here. I can hear them. The idea is you match up the loop at this side. Wow, this is damned exciting. This is a 1926 radio. It's being brought back to life. WSM. Now what you can do, tune this, or you can also tune the loop. See, it just nulls it. Bring it back in again. Nulls it again. Bring it in. So this is the maximum sensitivity here. Very sensitive. I'm listening to the Reds on a 1926 Radiola 26. How cool is that?
Whoever Braswell's guarding Joe on offense, you need to go at it. He's got 2 fouls. He does not want to pick up his third as he misses his free throw. Braswell has 10 points. Daver trails by one. Davis through traffic, takes it in.
And of course revived by Bette Midler in 1973. But their initial hit came out in 1940. Actually, they tracked around, between decade, recall some memories for you musically. Hopefully that triggers off some happy memories. Frank Proctor's my name, by the way. The program's called A Sentimental Journey. Oh, and one of our stalwarts here at MZ Media. I'm referring to Marilyn Lightstone, who also has her own show on our sister station. New Classical 96.3 FM. The show's called Nocturne. But she also does many other things. Like she's an actress, she's a writer, she's a composer. She's an artist in many forms. And coming up, this coming Thursday evening, I'd like to let you all tomorrow evening, the Metro Convention Center. The House Republicans with the help checklist editorial writers here and others, and the rhinos and the establishment Republicans picking. But there were 33 conservatives who said, no, that's enough.
The free throws missed when Bulls are 4-6. Down the season, the Bulls are shooting 80%. Danilo receives the ball from official Whitney Brooklyn.
Imagine about 3 or 4 people listening to the game on something like this. Maybe they got this on a running board of a car. It distorts real easily because, of course, this doesn't have automatic volume control. So you just gotta bring down the volume control. And the idea is when you have fresh batteries, you set the pointer to 2.5, and as they age, you bring it up eventually. Since mine are about 10 years old, they still got enough juice. I got it up to 5.
And is authoritative. And the reason I say that is this guy has no ability to provide for these children. He's literally on a disability to care for kids. Left-handed motorists don't have them.
That may be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Well, then tell me why.
Well, first off,
You just said he's on a point. You just said the guy's on a point. You're natural. Who makes every show you're part of better. Let's get you paid. Listen each day for the cute attacks. Oh, so he lets everyone who qualifies wins $1,000 immediately with a chance at 50 grand. It's an iHeartRadio once-in-a-lifetime experience. Sponsored locally by RenewServices.com. Do more than restore. Renew. What is 10 minutes worth to you? If you're underemployed, it could be worth a whole career.
I think that's 1310, so that's top end. It doesn't do the full AM band. Let me get back to that music station, which I think is about here.
The way your smile just did, the way you sing off key, the way you haunt my dreams. No, no, they can't take that away from me. Never meet again.
Okay, so the only thing I really need to do, put that big rubber bumper behind the Catacomb. There's 2 rubber bumpers on each side I need to mold. And I found out what these holes are for. They're two little round bumpers. They hold this in place. Oh, one more thing. I made a new latch. It's just a little piece of brass that I've soldered onto here. This is all set to go. So, I think it was Radio AM Engineer. Thank you for the opportunity for the latch, but I hadn't heard back from you in a while, so I figured, well, I'm going to press forward and try doing that. I just sweated on a piece of brass. Works just beautifully. These are for headphones, so I may give this thing a whirl later tonight. So, the main gist of this is done. We know it plays. Now, we need to make the batteries. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. It's kind of a neat little way. And that's going to be the next episode. So until then, enjoy the music. Like a bake light.